Forgiveness opened that door. I got what I wanted. My life is much brighter now. I tell you my story, how to get an abundant life.
What's going on? What's going on, good people? Welcome. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Build Your Fort with Lenthius Cheney. I am your host, Lenthius Cheney. Miss Shayna Marshall is joining us today. She is a self-proclaimed serial entrepreneur. This girl has it going on, and she also has her own AllState insurance agency. So we're going to talk about her venture into that. But first of all, Shayna, thank you for joining us. We've been talking about doing this for a minute. I appreciate you taking the time.
Yes. Hi. Hey, everybody out there in podcast world.
Good thing is they're going to get to see you as well. We're going to be on YouTube world too.
Okay. Well, see, that's why I put my pretty face on.
Listen, you have the pretty face on every day. I see you on social media popping, so don't try it. You didn't do it just for this. You're welcome. So tell me, you call yourself a serial entrepreneur. What does that mean to you?
So you're right, self-proclaimed, because I feel that serial entrepreneurs are those that have decided to go into entrepreneurship as a profession, but in more than one industry, or have more than one business entity.
Okay.
So for me, it's just the fact that I'm an owner of multiple businesses. And so I call myself a serial entrepreneur. And I could just put it there on my Instagram instead of saying gym owner, insurance agency owner, co-working space owner. It's like, boom, all in one.
So let's talk about them all. Let's start off. Which one was the first one that you started with?
Well, it's so interesting because I actually own AllState Insurance Agency. I have 2 locations, so I own 2 agencies, as well as a 9-round, which is a 30-minute kickboxing gym, and they both open on the exact same day.
Wow.
So I opened 2 businesses on the same day. Yes, I'm crazy. Yes, I do. I think like looking back on it, I probably would do it the same way again. It just happened that way, kind of. I was working on the gym first. So my previous life, I am, and I'm still a registered stockbroker. And so I spent a lot of time in the world of financial advice, working with stocks, bonds, mutual funds. And I was a corporate employee working for companies that would execute trades on behalf of financial advisors who had like their own independent financial brokerage firm. And so I did that for 15 years or so. And I saw these individuals build their businesses. I always said I wanted to get into the space as an entrepreneur because I knew that I could do the things that the financial advisors were doing who were building practices, right? So I would help them with hiring. I would help them with training. I would help them with systems, help them with advertising and marketing. Like they were literally building businesses from scratch. And so I did that for so many years. And I was like, helping these folks build these businesses, and I would see them come into this new endeavor, right? They were usually out of college, and a lot of them were inheriting businesses from their families, right? But maybe rebranding and getting with new different affiliates, and our company may have been one. And I would see them basically starting from and helping them build. And so while I had a great 6-figure salary, I'm not going to say that it wasn't, it was, I would start with these financial advisors building these practices and see them go from start day one, $0 of income to $1 million producers by the end of a 18, 24-month period that I was working with them and transitioning them into business ownership. And so I can absolutely do that for myself. Right. So, I just had to pick. At that point, it was picking the industry. And while I was a financial planner, it wasn't necessarily my industry of passion. When I thought about going into entrepreneurship, because I felt that it dealt a lot with people's money, and there was a lot of, stock market goes up and down, and a lot of client service relative to it. And with me being a new entrepreneur, I wanted to do something that was a little bit more needs based selling. And so I chose insurance, but the business model was very similar
Gotcha.
to that of a financial advisor, or at least that's how I was going to create it. And so, but while I was working, I had moved to Charlotte and I decided to move back home. And I was a member of a gym, and the gym was Nine Round Fitness. It's the franchise. And I love this gym because I'm a mom. And it was like I first started with all the other gyms, booked my personal trainer, and I would miss my appointments because meetings went over at work, or I was just too dang tired by the time I got off work. I missed my time. So now I'm 20 minutes late. Missed my training session. But there was this gym, Nine Real Fitness, 30-minute cardio, circuit training, fat burning, which is, most women want fat burning type training to keep them slim, keep everything from jiggling.
Listen,
It's-
listen. Now you know good and doggone well the men out there in 2022 like a little jiggle. Stop playing.
okay, but jiggling in the right place.
Okay.
So trying to keep the jiggly down, but I've had like this much time. And so Nine Real has this amazing program where you come walk in anytime while they're open, 30 minutes, 500 calorie burn, and you get a trainer, different workout every day. And it's like a new workout starts every 3 minutes because it's modeled after boxing, which
Mm.
is 9 rounds at 3 minutes. So you just pop in, boom. It was perfect for me because I was either always late or hadn't scheduled when I had the time and the trainer was booked. So I loved. So when I was ready to move back, I said, I'm bringing them around to Atlanta. There was only a handful here. If you look them up, there are a few. So shout out to the other franchise.
Right. Right.
Uh, but, I said I was going to bring it. So that's actually what I was focusing on. And Allstate hit me up in LinkedIn and was like, hey, have you thought about agency ownership? And I had thought about it and thought about it and thought about it. And I was like, let me see what this is about. So while I was in the process of opening the rail, I was entertaining Allstate, but it just so happened that Allstate just like literally fast tracked it and was like, we're going to open October 1st. 2018, and it was the same day that I was opening my gym, and let's do it.
So
Let's
apparently
go for it.
they made an offer that you could not refuse.
Could not refuse. Yes.
So are you
I'm
still in Charlotte or are you here in Atlanta now?
Atlanta.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So when I relocated and I decided I wasn't getting the job, I was gonna spend some time focusing on my these businesses that I have been dreaming about owning for many, many years.
So you just opened two businesses on the same doggone day. Did you have two grand openings on the same day?
You know what we did? They weren't like, exaggerated grand openings with the mayor and red ribbons.
And why not? No ribbon cutting and all that.
Because it was open at 2 businesses on the same day.
Listen, I would have found a way to make it happen. One would have been at noon, the other one would have been at 6.
You know what? It's funny because when I opened my Allstate, I remember still sitting on the floor putting chairs and desks together, because we were waiting on furniture that hadn't come yet, or waiting on, supplies that were still out in the mail. And so, it was one of those things. It was kind of a rough opening, but we definitely got open that day.
Wonderful. I love the concept of the gym 100%. So no matter what time you get there, because it starts every 3 minutes, you can still get your workout in.
Yes, with your trainer, 30 minutes. And it's a circuit. So you go around 9 different rounds with to break in the middle of each round. And boom, you are literally 30 minutes out and 500 calories lighter.
So how often are you actually physically, before we go talking about your co-working space, but how often are you physically in the insurance business as well as in the gym, physically as an owner?
Sure. So the gym has always been we have been able to operate that with trainers. It's a boutique gym. So don't think Planet Fitness. Think of some, smaller 2,000 square foot spaces. And with that being the concept, we've always been able to operate with 2 or 3 trainers. So people come in, they check in just like you walk into LA Fitness, click, boom, and you go about your business. Gyms have I would say a lower hands-on model, right? Like you don't have to be as hands-on with one with the clients as well as staff. So my trainers in the morning when they come in, they are able to look at our workout for today. We actually write it on the board next to each station. And then as the clients come in, they're literally able to walk them through each of the workouts. So I'm not going to say it's trainer ran, but shout out to my trainers.
Yeah.
They keep it going. It's
Yeah.
not a lot of uh, hands-on management needed in there. They're passionate about what they're doing and getting client results. And so that's what's important. And so they're able to, they don't want a manager or owner standing in their way. The good thing about it is, which probably is why I was able to successfully open both, they are next door to each other.
Oh, well,
I can
no,
literally walk out of the door of one of my Allstates and into the door of the gym and vice versa. So shall they need anything, I am generally at Allstate for the most part. And if then my office manager is there and she's able to assist and vice versa.
So in your previous life working in corporate, you already had your Series 7 and all of that before you. So it was easy for you to move into Allstate, but you don't necessarily have to have that to open an Allstate agency, do you?
You don't any longer. At one point, Allstate did require you to have and offer. We do offer retirement products, college planning, mutual funds. We do have those types of accounts. And when I started, it was a requirement. Now it's not a requirement, but it's really great to have because now I can be a full advisor to clients. So in addition to your auto, home, any investment property, insurance needs, I can also help with retirement planning and financial planning.
Nice, nice. So let's talk about the cost of entry. You don't have to tell us the exact dollar amount, but for somebody out there who's considering doing something like that, you know, in the number of dollar signs, you know how you look at restaurants and they could tell you $1 sign means is very, inexpensive. Two or
Yeah.
$3 signs take you up the mark with the price you're going to pay for your meal. How many dollar signs for the gym, and how many dollar signs would you say would it be for opening an Allstate franchise?
So I would definitely say 2, 3, 4, 4. No, I'm gonna say 4. Okay. I'll do dollar ranges to
Okay.
help people.
Okay.
Right. I'm definitely I want to be a relatable person. I want to be, transparent about opportunities that exist so people can plan for them.
Yeah.
If should they want to do something like that. So with Allstate Insurance, as far as assets, cash on hand essentially, the entity itself, the company itself is looking for you to have about 100,000 cash on hand or the ability to have access to that. So that could be a line of credit, as well. And it's not something that you pay to Allstate themselves, but it's something that is money that you will use in your business. And so when I talk to people who ask me about this regularly, I say, hey, look, you need to probably definitely be able to spend about 25 to $50,000 out of your pocket, and then be able to manage your own expenses for about 6 months, right? So if you're budgeting that, that's going to be 25 to 50, let's say cash that I'm going to spend in my business in the first couple of months. In addition, tack on about 6 months of whatever my living expenses are. And then that's how much money you should have cash accessible, ready to use.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now,
And then the gym is very similar.
so before
Very
we
similar.
go, before we go to that one, before we go to the gym, one question, because I am also a commercial broker when it comes to helping clients find spaces, and I know how expensive it is, and I know how freaking hard it is for a person of color, especially a small business, to open up a retail space. I know with having the name of Allstate behind you helped you a lot with that business. who handles the lease? Who handles that part? Did they handle that, or did you have to go out and find a location yourself, secure the lease, get the building done, and the build out and all of that stuff? You were responsible for
Bingo.
that. Okay.
B, option B.
Option B.
Nobody was there to help. Now, I think the different insurance carriers that you see opening up, so people have state farms and have farmers. I think they're all different. In the case of AllState, it's more of an independent opportunity for very business minded individuals.
Got it.
And so there's not a lot of assistance in that regard. And so, leaning on professionals like yourself was super helpful to help negotiate leases, things like that. And then, when it came to build out, you either help, getting your realtor may know some contractors or getting some contractors that to give you estimates on the build out of your space.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to the franchise. You bought into a franchise, and we know I'm a franchise owner as well of a space. So you got royalty fees, you've got your build out fee, you've got to negotiate your lease and all of that as well. So what type of upfront money did you have to do to open up a franchise such as that?
So I would say very similar to Allstate, but you're looking at about $100,000 spend there.
Hmm.
One of the things that I would say, as a best practice for people who are looking to become entrepreneurs, where they will have space, build outs, and equipment that they have to spend. So not necessarily only service organizations, but if you're looking at franchises or opening a space where you are going to build it out and have to put that money in, I always, I, I always suggest that people start to save for your business, but a lot of times you could even save through retirement.
Mm.
So one of the things that I utilize as a method to help with funding was partnering with my retirement plan to help me with the build out business expenses and such relative to the business, specifically, my gym. And it was a concept that was foreign to me, but in my mind, at the time I was about 35. And so been saving from in my retirement for about 10 years. So I had saved a decent size money. And so I had two options. I could go with financing because a lot of franchises have financing opportunity routes. But I could also utilize my retirement, make my retirement partner. And then I could later pay that retirement where it
Mm.
could just be a partner in my business into perpetuity, which is an amazing opportunity because if you think about it, let's say I've saved $100,000 in my retirement, and I'm going to use that in my business to help create something that can make me, well over that amount in probably a year or less, right? Depending on what your business model is and what you're opening and what your break even numbers look like. So, that was definitely a funding tactic because a lot of people have struggles with the funding options. Like, where do I go and get money to open these businesses? Like, this
Hmm.
all sounds great, but where do I actually get money?
Hmm.
So, like you said, there are a couple different things. If I'm new in business, I like the support of franchise models.
Yeah.
So, because I feel like they have proven systems, they've made the mistakes themselves and they can kind of teach you what not to do. They can show you some of the best practices, like keeping your space costs within a certain amount, keeping your staffing costs within a certain amount. So I usually err on the side of a model that has support and has proven history.
Yes,
That'll help me, especially as a new entrepreneur in the space of entrepreneurship, have to not work, figure it out at my own expense.
I agree.
Not only that, with the backing of franchises, some of that stuff is easier. Like you said, obtaining spaces was easier for Allstate. It was even easier for Nine Round, even though the name wasn't as big, but they carry weight.
Yes.
And we were talking to landlords. It was easier there than it was with my co-working space, which is something independently that me and my partner did together. And, it was just easier to find a space.
So I'm glad you mentioned those alternative means of financing. When I first got into real estate investing, that's something that I found that I was able to utilize retirement funds
Mhm.
to buy real estate, and people don't know that. So when I talk to my clients that are looking to go into real estate investing, I tell them what I did, and maybe it can work for them. And I'm glad to hear you say that you've utilized that as well for financing for your franchise. So what I found was that, and these are the little known secrets that many of people um, aren't, those things aren't shared with people of color. So thank you so much for sharing that knowledge. I went to a what do you call one of those real estate guru type of callings. They come to
Yep.
Atlanta, whatever, and they want you to buy their system, and they're willing to sell you their system for all these thousands of dollars. Put it on a credit card, do all that. But I thought that I'll pay the $99. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to learn as much as I can. And one of
Yeah.
the things that I found out about that I did not know prior was that I could utilize a self-directed IRA to buy real estate.
Mhm.
And I'm like, so you mean I don't have to come out of pocket with my money? So, my partner and I were able to use our IRAs and pay cash for properties and let them just cash flow. We don't have a mortgage, and the money just goes back into the IRA every month, just like the stock market as it goes up and down. When you buy and
Yep.
you trade every time rent comes in, guess what? I just made some money off of that stock. Every time I have to pay an expense, I lost a little bit of money, but overall, that money gets to stay in there and just continue to grow. So again, thank you um, for sharing that knowledge. And see, that's something else I learned here is that I didn't think about the fact that I could utilize retirement funds for operating another business such as a franchise. So
Yeah.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was gonna say, I think that, anybody that's interested or needing business funding, really just kind of going out there and um being well researched. I think a lot of times the very first thought is, I gotta have cash.
Right.
And it has to be, cash in my checking account type thing. And just really researching what options exist is super important, because then, not only is stuff identifying stuff like I could use my retirement, it's also able to just see, is there lower cost money options that are available to me? Are there grant opportunities that are available to me through city? Just researching all kind of stuff. Like I didn't know a lot about like Invest Atlanta
Yeah.
and what they
Yeah.
do. I mean, and it's like, once you even with them and others, once you get started, sometimes you're getting started bootstrapping it, but they're able to come in and help you 6 months, 12 months down the line to then scale your business or go ahead and have that extra lump sum of capital that can then, really catapult it to the next level.
For sure. So then you decided that you wanted to open your own co-working space. Tell us about that. What's the name of it? And I understand you're in a few different cities.
Girl Boss Suites. Yep. We're Atlanta, um, Houston, and online, right? And so the whole premise behind it is to educate women who are interested in business, new in business, or they could have been in business for many, many years. But it's being able to create a community of female entrepreneurs and or business owners or aspiring business owners, provide educational services. So that's a lot of the online component. We do classes every Wednesday. We have one tonight at 7. And so we do classes every week. We do co-working and coffees and wine and works, and with the whole basis of it is bringing people together who are in business so that they can support each other in business, learn from each other in business, and grow with each other in business. And
Yeah.
we're in all different industries, like all different industries. We have the online community, which has a private Facebook page where they communicate with each other. Like I said, we have our online classes, and then we bring them together in Atlanta and Houston as people are in those areas, but to be able to support each other. So if you think about it, I call it like your built-in sales team,
Mm.
right? So if I'm part of a network of 100 women, and I'm having a live where I'm going to sell my jewelry on Thursday at 1. If my tribe of 100 even just shares my flyer. And then, and some of the people that they're friends with shares it. It's like I'm able to get Facebook and Instagram ads for free,
Yeah,
right?
basically.
And we're able to support each other. Instead of me coming in and saying, well, let me figure out who does lashes in Atlanta. There's someone at Girl Boss Suites that does lashes. So boom, I can go right into my community directory and see who has what I need, utilize them, and they'll return the favor to me. So it's kind of like a sales team built in, but also, your sisterhood, your support system. When you're having, want to celebrate something or having hard times and difficulties, we talk about our weeks and figure out what was challenging and what was successful and try to help each other get past and overcome challenges and celebrate successes. So the co-working component of it was intended to bring the people together, number one.
hmm
Two, a lot of people new in business are working two jobs and they may work their 9 to 5 and then come do their other business afterwards, but they may not necessarily be at a place where they can get their own space. And so it's allowing them to have a space to meet with clients, professional space to meet with clients, or to have team meetings, even if they're maybe operating virtually or not, they have their space. And we're essentially cost sharing,
Yes.
sharing in the cost of the space. And then if I want to do a workshop or a seminar, I can book out a conference room or a bigger portion of the space to do that. And it's at a cost that's much less than what you would pay or the hurdles that you would have to overcome to get your own space at $3,500, $4,000 a month. So it's kind of like knocking down that first barrier to entry. A lot of times someone's trying to figure out where can I can't afford a $250 salon suite every week. But you may can afford a $250 a month shared space
Yeah.
at Girl Boss Suite.
So Girl Boss Suites, the individual suites, you can basically run whatever type of business that you are doing. So they still responsible? So someone wants to come in and they want to run their own individual chair for a salon. Who pays for the build out, the plumbing, and all that kind of stuff? Is that something that you work out with them,
So
or do they have to do it themselves?
So we do have a couple of limitations. So we're limited in business model. We're not doing nails and hair that requires, chemicals
Okay.
or shampoo. Right.
Okay.
But outside of that, right? So lash techs, amazing for them. Masseuse, we have techs, preparers, realtors, even that maybe are with smaller brokerage houses. We boutiques,
Okay.
online boutiques. And so they have a place to showcase or maybe meet up. People want to do an Atlanta or Houston pickup. So we don't do, it's not a built out. You have to be able to utilize a space that's similar to an office space
hmm
for your business.
Okay.
But with a lot of cute decor, really girly and Instagram opportunities, photos areas and all that good stuff.
Wow.
There's podcasting,
Okay.
available podcast rooms.
Are you trying to pitch
As
me?
well.
Is that what's going? Well, I mean, I can't be a girl boss. Can you? Can I be a guy boss there?
We've been thinking about doing a co-ed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe something in the future.
Sounds
Just
good to me.
boss suites.
Just boss suites.
Yes.
I can get with it. How
Yeah.
in the world with all this going on, how do you juggle it all?
Well, delegation is key. You're not going to be a leader if you can't delegate. So really being able to and identify people to help with the effort. So, there's a head and a tail of everything that I'm definitely doing. I rely upon people all the time, and I spend a lot of time in people coaching, training, and development.
Yeah.
So if you kind of look at it, and it's kind of the key to scaling. In the beginning, yeah, it's tough because usually in the beginning it's just you, and then maybe one or two others. Now most recently with the Allstate, we had up to 10 agents there. I'm actually doing some hiring now, so I'm putting together insurance agent trainee program there. So help people who want a professional career and, have just had a hard time finding what that should be and don't have to be a college graduate to do it. But I clone myself is what I say all the time,
Mm,
right? So once you kind of understand what needs to be done in a business, how it needs to be operated, and what it needs to be successful, then you have to start cloning yourself.
yeah.
And then where so that that business can start operating at that capacity without you, and you can bring yourself out of the day to day and start to do the oversight, right? So the forest for the trees. At the
Right.
beginning, the tree,
Right.
and then you're planting other trees and you're growing the forest. But eventually, you have to pull yourself up out of the forest so you can see over it, see what's going, and see how it can continue to grow.
Mm,
And so that's the key for anything, to be honest. But that's kind of how this is working. And then me meeting with my leadership teams on a regular basis to make sure that we are hitting our marks and they're able to help us continue to grow and achieve our strategic goals.
love it. You seem like you've got it all together, and I know you do.
No way. No way. I wish it's it's so funny. It's like every time I think that we're in a good place, I'm like, and now let's do this. And then now let's do that. But I guess that's the whole point of, it being able to grow
Yeah.
and right, continue. The thing about businesses is creating not even just opening the business, but creating a sustainable,
Yeah.
right? And in order for it to be able to sustain, it has to be flexible. It has to be innovative. The world's not staying the same. So I can't just open my business 4 years ago and feel like whatever I was doing then is going to continue to work for me forever because that's not even how the world works.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. So before we go, a couple of questions for you. Two more questions for you. Number one, how has the pandemic affected your businesses from then till now?
Yeah. So the pandemic has been tough on the gym.
Okay.
Um, the gyms were one of the very first businesses that city closed. When everything first went down in 2020, they were one of the last to be able to reopen. So that was really tough. I mean, you can't charge people for memberships, so they can't even come to the gym.
Right.
So that was tough, but you had to pivot, right? So that's when you saw a lot of online training, trying to engage people on Zoom, trying to engage them on Instagram, Facebook. So we continue to do that to try to help it along. And now we're steadily getting back to where we were pre pandemic. The beauty of gyms, insurance, just all the things that I like to do is I'm a recurring revenue type of a person
Right.
that has a recurring revenue opportunity. I'm there.
Yes.
If people pay monthly and I can provide a value add service, it's a win-win for both of us,
Yes.
right? So, even with the gym, the pandemic kind of hit us hard, but we were able to pivot to online and then get people back to memberships, but online memberships instead of in person. And then now we're transitioning back to in person. I'll say the pandemic was amazing. Let me tell you something. Why? People were home
Yeah.
and they were bored. So they answered the phone when my people called, said, "Hey, I see you out looking for insurance. Let me give you a quote." I'm like, "I'm not looking for insurance." "Well, you did that one time, or do you have a car? Okay, I can give you a quote. We can save you some money." They didn't have nothing else to do. So they were like, "Sure, I got 15 minutes. I
Yeah.
got 10 minutes. People were answering the phone like crazy. So, and that's all I need them to do.
Exactly. If you can get them on the phone, that's half the battle.
Half the battle. 99% of our sales is done by phone. So it was amazing. They back busy and in the streets. They back outside now.
We open. We open.
So it's a little bit, we're getting back to the struggle bus of having to call 100 people to talk to 10 to get one quote.
Right.
But hey, it definitely was. So, and what's amazing is as a financial advisor, you learn a lot about um, cor- correlating investments, right? So one that goes up at different times and the things happening in the economy and that one that may go down, right? And being able to balance that portfolio and have it diversified so that they can kind of play off of each other and you don't end up in a losing situation on both ends.
Right.
And that's what it seemed like those businesses did. When Girl Boss Suite pivoted as well to online, like it was very much the very first thought was co-working, event space, small event space for women in business in Atlanta. Then the same thing for women in business in Houston. But with the pandemic, it was like, well, we're still the online community. We'll help each other not only in person, but we'll do it online. And that's where a lot of our energy actually is now online, because we had to pivot into that and being able to still get people to pay memberships, but they're having that value. They have weekly classes, they have resources online, they have a sales team to help push their events, their marketing, and different things that they're doing. And so it's amazing.
That is great. So you were able to pivot, which is key to any business when anything has a downturn. Don't sit there and just wait to come out of it. Go ahead and
Yeah,
pivot to the next thing and make that thing work until it comes back.
that's true. And it
Yeah,
keeps you on your toe.
it
I think
does.
the pandemic has taught me to just always be figuring out what's the next thing in your business.
So my final question for you is this. What advice do you have for other budding entrepreneurs or people looking to pivot? Maybe they're in a corporate job and they're looking to do something different. You have a wealth of knowledge and you've done a whole lot of things and you've really pivoted along the way and made it successful for yourself. What would you tell somebody else that's looking to start out?
Don't be scared. Fear is the only thing that kills dreams is fear, right? Isn't that the quote?
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Like seriously, I feel like the only reason most people don't do something is because they're scared to do it, right? So I've had friends and family, they will research the heck out of something. I mean, they got a 20-page, portfolio of notes and things to do and how they gonna do it every single day, every single week, every single month, every single year. Like there's no way you won't be successful in this because you've well researched, right? You know what it takes, you have a plan, first 30 days, 90 days. Outside of the research component, I would say just don't be scared, right? Just make sure that you're planning it out. Like I'm an analytical person. So I didn't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to open the gym tomorrow. It didn't go that way, right? But once I felt like this was for me, I feel like God gives you the things that's for you. It's the things that you can't stop thinking about, kind of like the romantic interest that you have.
Right.
Can't stop thinking about this one, but you okay if you never talk to that one, right? So maybe that one you can't stop thinking about is probably the one.
Right.
Same thing with business. It's the same thing with your dreams. It's the same thing with your goals, right? God gives them to you. He says this is for you. But now you have to do the work to execute upon it. And the fact that he gave it to you is half the battle because now that means that there's something in you that can birth that thing and make it grow. So do the research, figure out what you need, utilize your resources. Don't be scared to talk to people, right? A lot of people are scared to talk to people. Somebody might steal their idea or somebody's going to take my clients. I talk to people all the time. People new in insurance, AllState sends them to my office or they find me somehow and they're like, I need to see what you're doing so I can figure it out. Right?
Come on.
I'm not scared. There are over 5 million people just in Atlanta. I can
Yeah.
sell insurance all in Georgia. It's enough for all of us. I
Yes.
can come over here. I can show you how to do it. And we could do it together. You're probably going to show me something too. So, utilize the people in your industry, get to know those that'll share knowledge with you. Like you went to courses, classes, be real research. Once that's all said and done, just don't be scared. Because 9 times out of 10, people do all of that and then they're just scared to pull the trigger.
Yeah. Wow.
Just pull the trigger. What happens if you fail? What happens if it don't work?
It
What's
just
gonna
don't.
happen?
It just don't work.
It just don't work.
You pick up and you do something else.
But at least you tried, right?
Exactly.
Because I'm not going to I'd still be here if it didn't work. You know, I'm 9 times out of 10, I could find another job. Everybody hiring.
Yep.
So just do your research, be prepared, and then pull the trigger.
Pull the doggone trigger. Thank you, Shayna. That was a good word. I appreciate you.
Yes, I appreciate you.
You are a ray of sunshine. I've enjoyed talking to you today. And I know the audience of Build Your Fort are going to enjoy listening to this and watching this on YouTube as well. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate you. Thank you. Keep doing the good work, my sister. I'm going to be calling you so that we could do some business together. Maybe I can get a little financial planning.
Yes.
Talk about some franchise stuff. I don't know if I want to do insurance though. That's the thing. We'll chop it up with some things.
We're gonna chop it up because, like I tell you, you know, for me, it's the recurring revenue.
Yes, for sure.
That's key. That's for me.
Oh no, I'm with you because nothing beats that recurring revenue and diversification. And so when, like you said, that you help people diversify when one is a little slow, you got another one that's up, you know, to kind of make up the difference. You don't ever want to be caught with everything down. And I tell my clients this: if you're going to start an Airbnb, how about you get something that you can have a long-term renter in one part of the home and a short-term renter in the other part of the home, so that when Airbnb slows down, because it happens, it's happening right now, you know, you still got rent coming in on the other side of the house. And that's very, very important.
Love it.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. I'll talk to you soon.